Hidden beneath the sands of the Arabian Gulf lies a civilization lost to time, a land the Sumerians called the Land of the Gods. Its name is Dilmun. Once a hub of trade, mystery, and divine legends, Dilmun vanished from history, its secrets buried, waiting to be uncovered. What was this ancient world? A paradise? A powerful kingdom? Or something far stranger? Join us as we trace the forgotten civilization's Sumerian connections and step into a story lost for millennia. Beneath the shimmering waters of the Arabian Gulf, where the horizon meets endless heat and sand, lies the whisper of a civilization almost erased from history. Dilmun. To the Sumerians, it was not merely a distant land, it was a paradise, a realm untouched by disease, sorrow, or death, a place where the gods themselves walked among mortals. Yet for millennia, the true story of Dilmun remained hidden, buried beneath layers of time and mystery. Archaeologists have uncovered fragments of this enigmatic society, burial mounds, ancient ports, inscriptions etched in stone, but the full picture eludes us. Was Dilmun merely a mythic reflection of Sumerian ideals? Or was it a thriving civilization that shaped trade, culture, and belief across the ancient world? In this journey, we will trace the forgotten pathways that connected Dilmun to Sumer, explore its cities and temples, and unearth the secrets that have been lost to the ages. Step with us into a world of glittering trade, divine myths, and enigmatic ruins. A civilization that once stood at the crossroads of human history and yet vanished, leaving only echoes and questions behind. The origins of Dilmun are cloaked in as much mystery as the civilization itself. Scholars have long debated whether Dilmun was born as a tangible society or arose first in the collective imagination of the Sumerians, immortalized in their myths as a perfect, untouchable land. Modern archaeological evidence, however, paints a more concrete picture. Dilmun was real, a thriving civilization strategically positioned at the heart of the Arabian Gulf. Today, Bahrain is widely recognized as the epicenter of Dilmun, its ancient mounds and ruins offering glimpses into a society that flourished thousands of years ago. Yet Dilmun's reach extended far beyond this small island. Surrounding regions, including parts of Kuwait, Qatar, and the eastern coast of Saudi Arabia, were likely part of its cultural and commercial sphere. Its geography was its greatest asset. Situated at the nexus of the Persian Gulf, it offered access to the waters of the Gulf and the inland trade routes of Mesopotamia, positioning Dilmun as a vital bridge between civilizations. Theories of Dilmun's founding diverge. Some suggest it emerged from the Neolithic communities of the Arabian Peninsula, evolving gradually into an organized society through trade, social networks, and cultural exchange. Others argue that Dilmun was initially a mythic construct in Sumerian literature, a symbolic land representing purity, prosperity, and immortality, a divine kingdom untouched by mortal troubles. Yet even Sumerian myths often refer to tangible interactions with Dilmun, implying that these tales were grounded in real-world contact and observation. Excavations at Qalat al-Bahrain, a sprawling mound complex, have uncovered evidence of sophisticated urban planning, fortified structures, and residential quarters. These settlements suggest a society with a keen understanding of engineering, defense, and resource management. Burial mounds, particularly those in A'ali, reveal a culture invested in rituals and the afterlife, hinting at complex spiritual beliefs and social hierarchies. Artifacts from these sites, pottery, jewelry, and seals, demonstrate both local craftsmanship and foreign influence, reflecting Dilmun's role as a hub of trade and cultural exchange. Dilmun's location made it a natural intermediary between the ancient Indus Valley to the east and Mesopotamia to the west. Archaeological finds, including Indus seals in Mesopotamia and Mesopotamian artifacts in the Gulf, reinforce this notion of an interconnected ancient world. This network of trade routes not only allowed for the exchange of commodities such as copper, pearls, and carnelian beads, but also facilitated the transmission of ideas, religious beliefs, and technological innovations. Despite these discoveries, the early history of Dilmun remains partially speculative. Environmental factors, such as shifting coastlines and desertification, may have influenced settlement patterns, while the paucity of written records leaves gaps in our understanding of governance, law, and daily life. Yet the very mystery of Dilmun's origins, intertwined with both myth and archaeology, continues to captivate historians and explorers alike. Its story is not merely one of survival or trade, but of a civilization that bridged worlds, connecting cultures and leaving an indelible, though enigmatic, mark on human history. As we peel back the layers of time, the question remains, what secrets did Dilmun truly hold, and how did its rise shape the civilizations around it? The answers begin to emerge in its connections with Sumer, a tale of trade, culture, and divine myth awaiting revelation. Dilmun was more than a distant paradise in Sumerian imagination. It was a civilization that intertwined myth, commerce, and culture. In the Sumerian texts, Dilmun is repeatedly described as the land of the living, a sacred realm free from disease, death, and decay. In the myth of Enki and Ninhursag, Dilmun is portrayed as a garden of abundance, where the god Enki walks among rivers and groves, tending to life and ensuring the land flourishes. Yet even within these stories, traces of reality emerge. A society revered not only for its perceived sanctity, but for its pivotal position in the ancient world. Archaeological and textual evidence suggests that Dilmun acted as a crucial intermediary between Sumer and the Indus Valley civilization. Its ports facilitated the exchange of precious commodities. Lapis lazuli from Afghanistan, carnelian beads from the Indus, copper from Oman, and pearls harvested from the Gulf's waters. These goods were not merely traded as objects of commerce. They were imbued with status, spirituality, and artistic significance, reinforcing Dilmun's centrality in the economic and cultural network of the ancient Near East. Seals and inscriptions found in Dilmun display a synthesis of Sumerian and Indus artistic styles, hinting at direct and repeated contact with these distant civilizations. Cylinder seals, often bearing intricate motifs, served both administrative and symbolic purposes. Their designs mirror those found in Sumer, suggesting that Dilmun's elites were not only familiar with Sumerian culture, but actively engaged in the bureaucratic and ritual practices that accompanied trade. These artifacts reflect a society that was cosmopolitan, aware of the currents of culture flowing through the region, and skilled at integrating them into local traditions. Cultural exchanges were not limited to material goods. Religious and mythological ideas appear to have traveled along these trade routes. The Sumerians' depiction of Dilmun as a divine garden may have been inspired by accounts of real landscapes, lush, fertile oases within an otherwise harsh environment, interpreted through a lens of reverence. Rituals, offerings, and ceremonial practices in Dilmun bear parallels to Sumerian customs, suggesting that religious syncretism was a component of their connection. Moreover, the Sumerians' acknowledgement of Dilmun in administrative records underscores its economic significance. References in cuneiform tablets detail shipments of copper and other valuables, indicating that Dilmun was a recognized and regulated participant in Mesopotamian commerce. Unlike a mythical land existing only in story, Dilmun had tangible influence over trade flows, regional politics, and the distribution of wealth. Trade, culture, and myth were inseparable threads in the fabric of Dilmun's identity. Its depiction as an earthly paradise may have elevated its status in the eyes of foreign civilizations, attracting merchants, travelers, and pilgrims alike. This blending of the real and the divine lent Dilmun an aura of mystery that persists even today. A civilization whose existence was both materially and spiritually significant, yet remains only partially understood. As we consider Dilmun's Sumerian connections, a portrait emerges. A civilization that was simultaneously practical and mythic, a bridge between worlds where commerce and religion, art and administration intertwined seamlessly. Yet this portrait only deepens the enigma. How did such a pivotal hub, so revered and influential, eventually fade from the pages of history, leaving behind tantalizing fragments and unanswered questions? Dilmun's prosperity was inseparable from its geography. Positioned at the nexus of the Persian Gulf, it commanded access to maritime and overland routes connecting Mesopotamia, the Indus Valley, and the Arabian Peninsula. This location made Dilmun a linchpin in ancient trade networks, a civilization whose wealth and influence derived from its ability to connect distant lands. The commodities flowing through Dilmun were both varied and highly prized. Copper, extracted from the rugged mountains of Oman, found its way into Mesopotamian workshops via Dilmun's ports. Lapis lazuli, a deep blue stone from Afghanistan, was transformed into beads and amulets for elite Sumerian and Indus populations. Pearls harvested from the shallow waters of the Gulf were coveted symbols of luxury, while carnelian beads traced paths from the Indus civilization, showcasing the vast scope of Dilmun's trading reach. Dilmun's traders were skilled negotiators, navigating complex political landscapes and ensuring the safe passage of goods. Archaeological evidence of fortified ports, storage facilities, and warehouses indicates a society organized to manage both commerce and security. Trade was not merely transactional. It was a sophisticated enterprise requiring logistics, record-keeping, and diplomacy. Dilmun's seals, inscriptions, and administrative artifacts suggest that this civilization understood the mechanisms of economic control and leveraged them to maintain dominance in regional markets. Beyond the movement of goods, Dilmun wielded influence through its role as a cultural and religious hub. Temples and ceremonial centers attracted not only merchants but pilgrims, scholars, and artisans, reinforcing the city-state's prestige. Religious practices, intertwined with commerce, created networks of obligation and reciprocity that extended Dilmun's influence far beyond its physical borders. By integrating spiritual authority with economic power, Dilmun cultivated a reputation that was both respected and feared. Strategically, Dilmun's control over trade routes also gave it political leverage. Neighboring regions relied on its ports for access to exotic goods, and controlling these nodes allowed Dilmun to dictate terms of exchange, influence alliances, and mediate disputes. This combination of geography, commerce, and diplomacy elevated Dilmun from a mere trade stop to a regional power with enduring significance. The civilization's wealth and strategic importance were reflected in its material culture. Luxury items, intricately crafted jewelry, elaborate pottery, and carved seals testify to both prosperity and artistic sophistication. These objects were not only products of trade, but symbols of status, authority, and cultural identity, signaling Dilmun's central role in shaping the tastes and practices of surrounding civilizations. Yet despite its prominence, Dilmun was never an empire in the conventional sense. Its influence derived from connection rather than conquest. A civilization whose power was measured in networks, wealth, and reputation rather than armies or territory. This unique model of influence allowed Dilmun to thrive for centuries, fostering exchange between civilizations that might otherwise have remained isolated. Still, questions linger. How did such a strategically vital and economically powerful civilization eventually vanish? What forces, environmental, political, or social, undermined a society that seemed so indispensable to the ancient world? These mysteries underscore the fragility of even the most influential civilizations, reminding us that wealth and strategic advantage do not guarantee permanence. In tracing Dilmun's economy and influence, we glimpse a civilization that was as ingenious as it was elusive. A society that leveraged its location, resources, and cultural capital to command the currents of ancient trade and shape the broader world. Yet as with its Sumerian connections, the full story of Dilmun remains tantalizingly out of reach, inviting us to continue the search for the truths hidden beneath millennia of sand and myth. Life in Dilmun was a delicate balance of trade, ritual, and social organization, a civilization defined by both its material prosperity and its spiritual depth. Archaeological excavations reveal settlements with well-planned streets, fortified areas, and residential compounds, suggesting a society that valued order and communal life. Public structures indicate not only administrative organization, but also centers for religious observance and social gatherings, reflecting a culture that integrated governance, spirituality, and daily existence. Religion was the heart of Dilmun's identity. Temples dedicated to deities, including Enki, the Sumerian god of water and wisdom, testified to a spiritual life intertwined with broader Mesopotamian traditions. Rituals, offerings, and ceremonial practices hint at a society deeply engaged with the forces of nature, fertility, and divine protection. Burial mounds, particularly those at Aali, showcase elaborate funerary customs, indicating beliefs in the afterlife and the importance of honoring the dead. These rituals were more than expressions of faith. They reinforced social hierarchies, cultural continuity, and the collective identity of Dilmun's inhabitants. Daily life in Dilmun was shaped by both commerce and craft. Artisans worked with copper, precious stones, and clay to create goods not only for local consumption, but also for international trade. Markets bustled with the exchange of pearls, carnelian beads, and luxury items from distant lands. The rhythms of daily life, harvesting, crafting, trading, and worshipping, were closely tied to the cycles of nature, trade schedules, and religious observances. Education and administration, though less documented, were likely sophisticated. Seals and inscriptions suggest a literate elite capable of managing trade, recording transactions, and maintaining diplomatic relations. The interplay between religion, governance, and commerce created a society that was both structured and dynamic, capable of sustaining itself while interacting with civilizations far beyond the Gulf. Yet, for all its apparent prosperity and complexity, Dilmun remains a civilization veiled in mystery. The intricacies of its social hierarchy, the full spectrum of its religious practices, and the nuances of daily life remain partially obscured. The fragments unearthed, temples, artifacts, and inscriptions, offer tantalizing glimpses, leaving us to imagine a society that thrived at the crossroads of trade, spirituality, and human ingenuity. What secrets did Dilmun's streets, temples, and homes hold? The answers lie waiting beneath the sands, hinting at a civilization as enigmatic as it was influential. The rediscovery of Dilmun transformed our understanding of ancient civilizations, providing a tangible link to a society that had long existed only in myth and scattered texts. Excavations in Bahrain, particularly at Qalat al-Bahrain, a massive mound complex, have unearthed evidence of urban centers, fortifications, and residential structures, confirming the existence of a civilization that was both sophisticated and strategically positioned. Burial mounds at Aali, some of the largest in the region, have yielded human remains, pottery, and jewelry, offering insight into funerary customs, social hierarchy, and material culture. These mounds, visible for miles across the flat Gulf landscape, serve as silent witnesses to Dilmun's emphasis on ritual, the afterlife, and the celebration of status. They suggest a society that valued both the living and the dead, ensuring that its citizens were remembered through meticulous preparation and symbolic offerings. Artifacts recovered from these sites illuminate the daily lives and international connections of Dilmun's inhabitants. Pottery, often intricately decorated, reflects both local artistic traditions and external influences from Mesopotamia and the Indus Valley. Cylinder seals, some bearing Sumerian motifs, reveal administrative practices and the recording of commercial transactions, highlighting Dilmun's role as an intermediary in regional trade networks. Luxury items such as jewelry, carved stones, and ceremonial objects demonstrate both craftsmanship and access to resources that traveled vast distances through trade routes. The inscriptions discovered in Dilmun provide further insight into its connections with Sumer. Cuneiform tablets record shipments of copper, silver, and other valuable commodities, underscoring Dilmun's position as a hub of exchange between the Indus Valley and Mesopotamia. These texts reveal not only economic transactions, but also diplomatic and ritual relationships, suggesting that commerce and spirituality were deeply intertwined. Moreover, the study of these artifacts has revealed technological sophistication. Tools, construction methods, and metalwork indicate a society capable of large-scale projects, urban planning, and resource management. Dilmun's artisans were adept at manipulating materials from distant lands, transforming raw resources into objects of beauty, utility, and ceremonial importance. Despite these advances, significant gaps remain in our understanding. Written records are sparse, and many sites remain unexcavated or only partially studied. The lack of extensive textual evidence leaves questions about governance, law, and internal social dynamics largely unanswered. Yet the archaeological record, rich in material culture and settlement patterns, continues to provide invaluable clues about a civilization that once thrived at the crossroads of ancient civilizations. Dilmun's legacy, revealed through these excavations, is both profound and elusive. Its material culture, urban planning, and trade networks illustrate a society that influenced surrounding regions and shaped the flow of goods, ideas, and beliefs. At the same time, the absence of complete records maintains an aura of mystery, leaving researchers to piece together its story from fragments scattered across the sands and seas. As we examine the ruins, the artifacts, and the inscriptions, we are left with a haunting impression. Dilmun was real, powerful, and connected, yet much of its history has vanished into obscurity. Its streets, temples, and trade routes whisper stories of wealth, spirituality, and human ingenuity, inviting us to imagine a civilization that bridged worlds. But beyond what we have unearthed lies the unknown, a reminder that some of history's most intriguing civilizations remain only partially revealed, their full splendor waiting to be discovered. For centuries, Dilmun thrived as a hub of trade, culture, and spirituality, yet the civilization eventually disappeared from history, leaving behind only ruins, artifacts, and tantalizing clues. The question of its decline has long puzzled historians and archaeologists alike. Was it the slow hand of time, or a sudden catastrophe that erased this once great society? Environmental change is one of the most widely considered explanations. Shifts in climate, rising sea levels, or desertification may have disrupted agriculture, freshwater supplies, and trade routes. As fertile land shrank and the waters of the Gulf shifted, Dilmun's ports and oases may have become less viable, undermining both the economy and the daily sustenance of its people. These subtle yet relentless changes could have gradually weakened the society, making it vulnerable to further pressures. Another possibility lies in political or social upheaval. Internal conflicts, struggles for power, or challenges from emerging regional powers could have fractured Dilmun's cohesion. As a civilization whose influence was heavily tied to trade and diplomacy rather than military dominance, Dilmun may have been particularly susceptible to disruption in its networks, leaving it isolated in a world that depended increasingly on control and force. External invasions or incursions cannot be ruled out either. The ancient Near East was a cauldron of competing city-states and emerging empires. Dilmun's wealth, resources, and strategic location would have made it an attractive target for conquest. A combination of environmental stress and human aggression could have accelerated the civilization's collapse, leaving behind only remnants of what was once a thriving society. Yet despite these theories, the evidence remains inconclusive. Unlike some neighboring civilizations, Dilmun left behind few written records documenting its decline. Archaeological traces are fragmented, and the reasons for its disappearance remain speculative. What is clear, however, is that the decline of Dilmun was not the end of its influence. It left enduring marks on trade, culture, and mythology, echoing long after the civilization itself had vanished. The mystery of Dilmun's decline invites us to reflect on the fragility of even the most sophisticated societies. How could a civilization so deeply connected to the world around it vanish into obscurity? The answer, it seems, remains buried beneath the sands, awaiting discovery. Even as archaeology has uncovered significant evidence of Dilmun, countless mysteries persist. Beyond the question of its decline, scholars continue to debate the nature of the civilization itself. Was Dilmun a single unified state, or a network of loosely connected city-states and tribal communities? Variations in artifact styles, settlement patterns, and burial practices suggest that Dilmun may have been a patchwork of cultures rather than a centralized kingdom. The lack of extensive written records also fuels speculation. While cuneiform inscriptions reveal trade transactions and references in Sumerian myths, they tell us little about governance, law, or societal organization. Who ruled Dilmun? How were decisions made? And how were resources allocated? These questions remain largely unanswered, leaving room for alternative interpretations of its history. Some researchers propose that Dilmun's influence extended far beyond the Arabian Gulf. Archaeological finds suggest connections to the Indus Valley, Mesopotamia, and perhaps even East Africa. Trade goods discovered in Dilmun, including beads, copper, and exotic stones, hint at a vast network of exchange that may have shaped multiple civilizations. Could Dilmun have functioned as an early cosmopolitan hub, influencing distant cultures in ways we are only beginning to understand? Other theories turn to the more enigmatic. Some suggest that Dilmun possessed knowledge or technologies that have since been lost. Methods of water management, advanced navigation, or craftsmanship techniques that allowed it to flourish in a harsh environment. The civilization's disappearance, then, may not be solely the result of natural or human factors, but could also represent the loss of specialized knowledge that could not be preserved. Religious and mythological dimensions add another layer of mystery. Dilmun's portrayal in Sumerian myths as a land of immortality raises questions about how myth and reality intersected. Was the civilization intentionally idealized, obscuring its more practical aspects? Or did Dilmun truly possess qualities that made it stand out among contemporary societies? Ultimately, the unresolved mysteries of Dilmun remind us that history is rarely fully knowable. Every artifact, seal, and ruin provides a clue, yet the complete story remains tantalizingly out of reach. Dilmun exists at the intersection of archaeology, myth, and imagination. A civilization that was real, influential, and yet, in many ways, unknowable. As we move closer to understanding Dilmun, these unanswered questions fuel the intrigue. The civilization's true nature, its accomplishments, and even the full scope of its disappearance continue to challenge our assumptions about the ancient world, leaving us to wonder, how many secrets lie still buried, waiting beneath the sands of time? Though Dilmun itself has vanished from the historical stage, its imprint endures across the ancient world. The civilization's strategic position as a trade hub enabled the exchange of goods, ideas, and religious practices, forging connections between Mesopotamia, the Indus Valley, and the Arabian Peninsula. Through these networks, Dilmun influenced not only commerce, but also culture, technology, and governance, leaving traces of its presence far beyond its Gulf heartland. Artifacts discovered in Mesopotamia and the Indus Valley suggest that Dilmun was more than a conduit for goods. It was a transmitter of knowledge and artistic traditions. Seals, pottery, and inscriptions demonstrate the spread of motifs and administrative practices, hinting at the ways Dilmun shaped cultural expression in the ancient Near East. The civilization's emphasis on ritual and religious observance also left a spiritual legacy, influencing Sumerian myths that describe Dilmun as a divine paradise. Moreover, Dilmun's example of a trade-based power illustrates an alternative model of influence in the ancient world. Unlike empires built on conquest and military might, Dilmun leveraged commerce, diplomacy, and religious prestige to achieve prominence. Its prosperity demonstrates the significance of networks and exchange in shaping the trajectory of civilizations, offering lessons about connectivity and cooperation that resonate even today. Dilmun's enduring impact is also evident in modern archaeology and scholarship. Excavations in Bahrain and surrounding regions have not only uncovered its material culture, but also inspired new understandings of Gulf history and its role in the broader ancient world. The civilization continues to challenge assumptions, revealing the complexity of societies that flourished in regions once thought marginal to the grand narratives of history. Yet perhaps Dilmun's most profound legacy lies in its mystery. The civilization's partial disappearance, coupled with its vivid depiction in myths, invites curiosity and imagination. By connecting the known with the unknown, Dilmun bridges the gap between history and legend, reminding us that the past often holds more questions than answers. Even in absence, Dilmun endures as a symbol of human ingenuity, resilience, and the enduring allure of lost civilizations. Dilmun remains one of the ancient world's most compelling enigmas, a civilization that thrived at the crossroads of trade, culture, and spirituality, yet vanished, leaving only whispers of its existence. Its cities, temples, and trade networks testify to human ingenuity and the power of connection, while its depiction in Sumerian myths immortalizes a vision of paradise that continues to capture the imagination. As we reflect on Dilmun, we are reminded that history is not always linear or complete. Civilizations rise and fall, sometimes leaving tangible evidence, sometimes only traces in myth and memory. Dilmun's story challenges us to look beyond what is preserved in texts and ruins, urging us to imagine the lives, beliefs, and ambitions of those who lived in a land now buried beneath the sands. The mystery of Dilmun endures, inviting us to ponder the fragility of societies, the reach of human influence, and the secrets still hidden beneath time's veil. In tracing its Sumerian connections, we glimpse a civilization that was real, remarkable, and yet tantalizingly elusive. A reminder that some of history's greatest stories are those still waiting to be fully uncovered.